right, let's move on. Another topic. We're going to talk about the Charlotte Flair problem. Everyone likes to talk about Charlotte Flair, right, Chad? Jason PS3, how you doing? Everyone likes to talk about Charlotte, right? And I want to ask you guys something. I want to ask you this straight off the bat. Or at least, did I not warn you? Did I not warn all of you, good viewers of the MrWarrenHayes show, astute listeners of the MrWarrenHayes show, did I not warn you all that with Becky gone, they were going to lean in hard on Charlotte? Did I not warn you all? Because goddamn I did. And here's the thing. It's a smart move. It's the smartest move to do. Because, guys, Charlotte is a good professional wrestler. Charlotte is charismatic as hell. Charlotte can talk. Charlotte really is a complete package. She looks like a star. She handles herself like a star. She is a star. So it makes sense. And I know a lot of people don't like her. I know a lot of people just can't stand the sight of her. And I think there's a lot of reasons on it that are unfounded and are the same bubbling dislike that exists for things like John Cena and Roman Reigns being overpushed. And granted, I'll be right there with you in a couple of months if Charlotte keeps getting shoved down our throats. I'm like, this is terrible. They shouldn't be doing this. But I feel bad for the athletes. I think WWE is making shit decisions. Roman Reigns didn't ask to be pushed like he did. That's just Vince being Vince and saying you're going to like this guy come hell or high water. And ultimately it hurt him. And if they're not careful, it's going to be the same with Charlotte. But I just like to take a second here. Because the Charlotte problem isn't the Charlotte problem that you're all thinking I'm going to talk about. I think the Charlotte problem is a lot of perception. There's a lot of perception that I don't think is real and I don't think is valid. Most of the time, you'll have people come out and say, of course she's a tall blonde with big boobs. Of course Vince is going to put her over. Look, I want you to go and right now, open up an extra window in your browser and I want you to look at the list of recent WWE champions. I want you to point out how many blondes there have been. I really want you to go back and take a look at that. If all you can do is think back to the Attitude Era where it was Sable and Trish Stratus, sure, yeah, but not anymore, folks. And that's a discourse that really has to end because it serves no one. And it makes the people promoting that kind of stuff look fucking stupid. That's one thing. The second thing, she's a Flair. She got all her opportunities handed to her. Charlotte wasn't really crazy about wrestling when she started. She was a gymnast, but then she started getting into it. She started training in FMW and she started to, not FMW, Florida Championship. If she was training in FMW, Jesus Christ, in FCW. And it started to grow on her. She started to like it. And it's not because she was a Flair that she got the opportunities. She worked hard because we can point out a whole bunch of wrestlers who have their father's name who didn't quite make it as strongly. Clearly, you could make an argument for the nepotism angle or the nepotism argument, but that just didn't work that way. We can just think of Curtis Axel straight off the bat. Didn't quite work out the way you wanted, right? Same thing goes for Natalia. Huh? Jim Neidhart's daughter. There are many second generation wrestlers who maybe got through the door a little easier, let's put it that way, to get into the business. But just look back at Randy Orton, and when he talks about his career and how difficult it was for him to break it, to break in and be taken seriously because he was Cowboy Bob's son. It really goes both ways, folks. The nepotism stuff is stupid because Charlotte works hard. She has always worked hard, and she has always made the most of the opportunities that she was given. Has she been given a lot of opportunities? Yes. Am I going to argue against the argument that against the contention that she's the golden child for as far as corporate goes? No, of course she is. I was telling you guys they're going to lean into her when Becky's gone. Of course I know she's the golden goose. She's the one they wanted to push. She's the one they wanted to push when when the entire WWE watching universe, the entire fan base wanted Becky. They were like, no, you guys want Charlotte, but we were like, no, we want Becky, and they had to pivot. So now Becky's gone, they can do whatever they want at this point. Sure, she gets a lot of opportunities, but you know what? Charlotte gets a good push once every 2 years, every other year. And you can go on Cage Match to check her stats. In 2016, let's just like that. 2016, she won 61% of her matches. In 2017, she had a more even record. 55% of her was her win record. 2018, 64% of her matches were won. 2019, she won 25% of her matches. Now, this year, she's back on top with a good winning record. And the opportunities, Jesus, people, she lost in 2019. Last year, she lost the SmackDown Women's Championship 3 times. She won and lost it in the same evening. Yes, they want her to get 17 wins to beat Ric Flair's record. And you know what? I'm okay with that because it's a good story. And it's something that Ric Flair will mark out for. He loves it. Of course. Why wouldn't you tell that story? Why would you not tell that story? It's an amazing story to tell. We've had the stories where John Cena was like, apparently John Cena was like, I don't want to break Ric's record. That's not mine to break. Well, whose is it then if it's not his daughter's? But then I understand where I concur with a lot of people is the moment where we sort of sit back and we're like, well, she's all over the place. What about the other women? Charlotte was on Maria Menounos' podcast earlier this week, and she was saying, you know what, I might want kids. So if Charlotte disappears and Becky's gone, or at least roundaboutly at the same time, who do you have left? This is when you should be building your women. And you cannot rest on the 4 horsewomen for the rest of your life. You just can't. And this is where you have to start building your other women. Now, if we go back to TakeOver, she was in the triple threat. She lost the title, but she didn't get pinned. Triple H it was Rhea who ate the pin. Rhea, who her booking since WrestleMania has just been mind-bogglingly bad. Even leading up to WrestleMania. I was like, I don't know what they're doing with her. At the media call, at the post TakeOver media call, Triple H was asked the question, and he says, "Oh, the pin is part of a bigger story." I don't have faith in WWE to tell a bigger story. I don't think there is a bigger story. I think it was deflecting anything. Again, if this was New Japan Pro Wrestling, I'd be like, sure, there's probably some long-term story coming along here. Then I trust. But WWE doesn't have a plan for Rhea and Charlotte moving forward. They don't. Because if they did have long-term planning, we would not have spent the last month not seeing Bianca Belair on Raw after being called up. We would not have spent the last 2 to 3 weeks not even getting a peep of Shayna Baszler. If they had long-term planning, we would already be having Liv Morgan in serious contendership for any title, or at least in a tag team. And they probably would have dragged Rhea Ripley up from NXT and have her become the badass again. The problem with Charlotte, in my opinion, of course, has nothing to do with her looks, her opportunities, her last name, her work rate, which, by the way, I think has been dramatically improving. I've said it once and I'll say it again. The minute she stopped doing tornado DDTs and relying on springboard stuff and going into power moves and a more grounded offense, she's been turning it up. The problem with WWE is that they don't build stars. This is throughout the board. And they're not building women stars. otherwise. Why are we having Sonya Deville lose a match when she is clearly on an upswing, when she clearly has an organic fan base of people who are like, yeah, let's get behind this chick. We believe she's vicious and strong and could snap a person's neck. Why are they keeping Shayna Baszler off TV when Shayna is exactly that same type of character that they build so strongly in NXT? Why? For the love of God. For the love of God, is Bianca Belair being completely ignored? Why is Naomi still being relegated to nothing? Carmella is a former women's champion and a Money in the Bank winner. She makes the best out of every single fucking opportunity she's given. The women's division is not being properly elevated, and we're going to end up in another situation just like after WrestleMania 35 when Becky had no contenders. This is exactly what's going to happen again. We're going to end up with no women, no strong women to go up against the protected women, and everything's going to feel flat. So then as a solution to hotshot this, well, let's put Bayley and Charlotte in another feud again. I mean, I'm okay with these titles. I'm okay with these feuds. Charlotte and Bayley work fantastic together. The problem is we want diversity. We want to see more women. We want to be able to cheer a division on. Why do you think people lost their minds when Evolution was put up on television? Oh, do you think you guys want another Evolution? Yes, God damn it. And the women shouldn't have to prove themselves again. They proved themselves. They worked hard to get their pay-per-view. They shouldn't have to be like in another situation where they're in a proving grounds environment where like, yeah, we have to work hard again to show that we deserve another pay-per-view. No. Don't give me any horse shit. Oh, well, it didn't draw that much. You don't know how much Evolution drew. You don't know how much because WWE doesn't put out the numbers, doesn't put out the network numbers in regards to their programming. So we don't know how many people watched Evolution. And even if it did tank, I can tell you about poor performing, what was it, TLC 2013? On pay-per-view, it was less than 100,000 buys. And they kept doing TLC pay-per-views despite that. The Evolution didn't draw, so they're not doing it again. It's bullshit. That's a bullshit answer. These are all decisions that WWE is making to not put the women forward, to not give them their pay-per-views. It's just as simple as that. And it's the same thing here where they're deciding to push Charlotte and not give room for any other women to expand. This is not on Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair doing interviews saying, yeah, I'm the greatest woman wrestler of all time. Of course she's going to say that. She's cutting promos. She's doing interviews. Of course. That's part of the gimmick. That's what you have to do.